Right before Paranormal Activity 3 was released on physical media, a supercut of the first 3 films called The Chronology was released as a digital download exclusive from Paramount. It features scenes that are only in this version. This supercut has never been released on physical media and has since been discontinued from sale digitally. I've got access to this version, and today we're going to break it all down. Let's get into it. So Paranormal Activity, The Chronology is a supercut I hadn't even heard of until recently. There is very little out there about this version that's still on the web. A few Reddit threads, for example, where people talk about what might have been included. A few of them mentioning specific scenes. This is the only place I've really seen people congregating talking about this. The IMDb page has some information and quotes about the film. Dread Central still has an article from 2012 up talking about it to help promote the DVD and Blu-ray release of Paranormal Activity 3. The Fandango at Home listing for the movie, which a commenter, PowerGlove79, said they have in their library still, and that they can still watch it. If you or me, who didn't buy this back then, now goes to this page, this is what you'll see. It's unavailable for us. I find that disappointing. This version of the film is virtually gone. Unless you're one of those people that bought this film digitally back then and still have access to it. That is until now. If you Google it and look around in those Reddit posts I mentioned, I think you might be able to find a way to view this movie. Theoretically, wink wink, nudge nudge. I think this is obvious, but this movie takes the first 3 films, puts them in chronological order, sometimes adding stuff and changing the order around. The opening scene in this version is the birthday scene from the 3rd movie. Notably missing here is the framing of this film with the scene where Katie comes over to Christie's house and she puts the box of VHS tapes in her basement. It's not gone, but it's moved so that it makes sense chronologically. This version of the movie builds on the unrated extended cut of 3, and if you aren't familiar with that, I just did videos talking about the extended cuts of 2 and 3, and the festival cut of the first film, so check those out for more info. All of the scenes from that unrated extended cut are here, plus a few more we'll talk about. The first news scene is a pretty long one that references the tooth scene that's in the regular movie.
Down. Now ooh!
Yeah.
This shows Christy and Dennis attempt to play the part of the tooth fairy for Christy. It plays out where they look under her pillow and the tooth is already missing.
Dennis, it's not here.
Just leave it.
They end up downstairs talking about what could have happened to it.
Maybe Katie took it.
Why would she do that? That doesn't make any sense. I looked under the bed, I looked in all the cupboards.
Sheets or something.
It's not a crazy addition to the film, it doesn't wildly alter the plot or anything. And I think maybe it was changed so you didn't confuse Toby with a demonic tooth fairy. No, this is not a secret sequel to Darkness Falls. But seriously, it's interesting to see, and I kind of like how it shows more of Julie and Dennis, and their dynamic with each other and how it relates to the kids. The next scene added to only this cut calls back to the scene where the light explodes while Julie's in the kitchen and she's trying to get her earring out of the kitchen sink. The next day, Dennis has the earring and goes to Julie to show her and explains that Christy said Toby told her it was in the drain, and that's where he got it.
My earrings. How did you know to look in the sink?
Your daughter?
Yeah? Which one?
Christy. Said it was in the drain. It was in mommy's sink.
Julie thinks Christy was just messing with her stuff as usual.
Probably afraid to tell me that she's playing with my stuff. It's easier to tell me that her friend found it or something.
I don't know, it's really not an integral scene. While I do find these longer cuts interesting, sometimes it's just a lot of stuff like this. It's not super consequential, and I'm sure there's superfans out there who salivate over this type of content, just any new deleted scenes they can get their hands on. But I think if the footage is out there, just release it publicly. Make it available, at least as a special feature on a physical media release. Even if they just kept it available to purchase digitally, a lot of people would do that as opposed to trying pirate it on the web. I think the last added scene here is the best addition, but it still doesn't make much sense being in the movie. Night 9, which shows Julie in bed with Dennis, when the covers start to pull down, revealing her body. And then her shirt starts to lift. And she's half asleep and realizes what's happening. She's just creeped out, but she goes back to sleep. It's a pretty disturbing scene, but I'm surprised it wasn't in the unrated cut. Not that it really shows anything crazy, but this is the most provocative thing I've seen in these movies outside of the attempted sex tape in this movie. This is nightmare fuel, or wet dream fuel for the right person, I guess. Either way, it's a disturbing scene to watch play out, but that's kind of what makes it work so well. I would assume it didn't end up in the other cuts because when you watch this, you start to wonder what the demon's motivation is here.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Toby. I'm here. Just clap some cheeks. How's it going?
I think this is the only real display of Toby being a horn dog, and that's ultimately why it doesn't play well, regardless of how creepy the scene actually is and might work in another movie. There's a static VHS transition in the beginning of part 3 is now shown, where Katie comes and drops off some tapes before we then get to the beginning of part 2. This version of 2 is somewhere between the theatrical cut and unrated cut. It has about half the scenes from that extra cut, but it's missing the other half. Excluded from this cut is Night 11, where the fire starts in the kitchen and Allie is found outside in the hot tub, as well as the hot tub argument, and Allie discussing her nightmares to the camera. It does, however, include the little part of finding the front door open, the chair in the kitchen scene, and Night 4, which isn't very eventful. This version includes one extra scene for Paranormal Activity 2, not in either previous cut.
Quien tú seas y como te llames.
This is the scene where Martina is doing some sort of blessing or a ritual or an exorcism, for all I know, to Christy in Hunter's room. It's a creepy scene. It adds to the movie for sure. And even if they felt like it wasn't worth being in the theatrical cut, they should have thrown it in the extended cut, right? They end up going through the little ritual spell thing and burn Katie's photo, but the movie then transitions to the first movie, and this one plays out exactly as the theatrical cut does. When Katie kills Mika and lurches at the camera, we then go back to the very end of part 2, and the possessed Katie kills Daniel before going upstairs, killing Christy, and kidnapping Hunter. This is a very interesting way to watch these first 3 films. And yeah, it was a promotional gimmick to help promote the home release for Paranormal Activity 3, but this was an interesting way to do it. Who hasn't watched movies that connect like this and thought, I wonder what it would be like to edit these all together and watch them as one long-ass movie? This fulfills a little bit of that desire, especially if you're a big fan of the Paranormal Activity franchise. The way these films are connected and work around each other was worth exploring in this cut of the films. And I wish it was included as at least a special feature on a box set or something, but it's unlikely that'll ever happen. I'd love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Click over here to see me break down the alternate cuts of the first 3 Paranormal Activity movies, or down here to see more alternate cuts of different movies. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out, and stay creepy, guys.